to achieve, to a large extent, as a continent, we have been able to achieve political integration. What we have not been able to achieve over the last 60 to 70 years is market integration, which is the next phase, as you pointed out, the next phase of the struggle on the continent is to integrate the market, to make sure that we have a single set of rules for trade, for investment on the African continent. So as much as we stand on the shoulders of the founding mothers and fathers of the Organization of African Unity, which brought about an end to apartheid and defeated colonialism, and that unfinished business is the integration of the continent. When we look at where Africa is today, we can, from an economic standpoint, we can make a number of broad general characterizations. Smallness of national economies, lack of economies of scale, fragmentation of markets, lack of industrial capacity, lack of productive capacity, and a continued over-reliance on export of primary commodities to countries of the North. And this over-reliance on the export of primary commodities is actually one of the main reasons why, as Africa, we remain trapped in this, what I call a colonial economic model, which we have to admit ourselves as Africans, we've sustained it over the last 60 years, this colonial economic model where we export primary commodities to the rest of the world. And so what the heads of states decided was that we need to address this challenge of lack of an integrated market in Africa as part of the arsenal of tools, as part of the tools that we have to fight poverty, to fight unemployment, and to create opportunities for young people. And so this trade agreement is not just a trade agreement in a classical sense. It is a tool for Africa's development. It is probably, in my view, the last chance that Africa has to make a very, very profound impact on job creation, on industrialization, on generally our economic development objectives. So we have a very unique opportunity as Africans. We have a very unique opportunity to use this agreement to do a number of things. First and foremost, in my mind, to industrialize the African continent. In the year 2019, Africa exported over $15 billion worth of pharmaceutical products. We, according to a study of KPMG from 2015, the coffee industry, we export raw coffee, $6 billion worth of raw coffee. But when you look at the global market of coffee, after processing of the coffee, it is up to $100 billion. If you look at technologies in the iPhone, we all know that the minerals that cost less than $5 in a single unit of a phone, the processing of those minerals is done elsewhere, outside of the African continent. And what really exposed the challenge that we have is COVID-19. When the rest of the world started imposing export restrictions on germ-killing products, on ventilators, Africa suffered. When the rest of the world was in a position to manufacture its own personal protection equipment, we as Africa suffered. Of course, after a few months, there were countries, Senegal, Kenya, South Africa, Egypt, that were able to repurpose their industrial policies so that they become more self-sufficient. But in general, what COVID-19 exposed is that Africa has got to be more self-sufficient from an industrial development point of view, of course, without disconnecting from global value chains and the global economy, but to develop our own capacity on the African continent. The second lesson that I think we should draw from COVID-19 is when you look at this issue of vaccines. Europe procured 4 times more vaccines than they require for their populations. And again, Africa is suffering. We rightly characterize this situation as vaccine apartheid and vaccine nationalism. But the real challenge, it comes back to industrial development on the African continent. We must see this as an opportunity to accelerate Africa's industrial development, to produce and manufacture our own pharmaceutical products. And this is why I say the AFCFTA is a very unique opportunity, because we now have an opportunity to establish an intellectual property rights framework, a protocol on intellectual property